Good morning. It's actually pretty windy on this hill, and originally the owners of this property put big pine trees up to try and break the wind up, to protect the stock, to protect the land. But you know what, these old guys, they've been getting diseases, and one by one we're having to chop them down. They're no longer working as a windbreak at all. They look feral as well, and a couple of years ago I was smart enough to propagate the saltbush, and that's what I'm talking about in this video today. Old man saltbush. There's heaps of different varieties, and I thought I'd make this video just to talk to you a little bit about it because it's a really underrated herb, believe it or not, stock feed and windbreak. It's such a useful plant, and it's nice to look at too. It's got really nice silvery looking foliage that goes well in contemporary gardens. But I'll tell you a bit about what I have it here for. This is a working sheep farm, and I really need a stock break for when my sheep are lambing. They just need a little bit more cover from that southerly wind. We're located in north central Victoria, but yeah, the wind from the south, from Tasmania, it's relentless, and today it's really biting. It's the start of winter. These guys are growing like crazy. They completely got chewed down by the sheep. We fed them this stuff in summer. We were believe it or not, the grass is green now, but in summer it's yellow and barren and dirt coloured. So giving them something green to eat that tastes good for them and it's got lots of minerals in it, it's a total bonus. So in winter it acts as a windbreak for the sheep, and in summer they get to eat it, and it grows back really vigorously, as you can see. These are higher than what I am. They're probably they can grow up to like 3 meters high from what I'm seeing, and I've grown it in a hedge, as I have said 100 times already, and eventually over a couple more years they'll fill in the gaps. When all these pine trees are dead from old age and disease and whatever, the wind is cold, I can barely breathe, these guys will fill the void. Of course we can eat them too, and I have tried it. This is what they look like close up. They're kind of silvery and fleshy. They look dry on the camera, but they're really quite fleshy, like a succulent almost. You can take them inside and dehydrate them on a baking tray on a really low heat, and cover them in soy sauce, and you can eat them like chips. Likewise, put them on a baking tray, gently dehydrate them, and then break them up into like a crumble and put them in a jar and save them and use them as a herb on oven dried tomatoes or whatever, or you can use them fresh in a salad. You can eat them fresh. I'm not into them, to be honest. I think they definitely taste salty, and I wonder if I've eaten them before and they haven't really been that palatable for me, to be honest. But I think it's the fresh growth that tastes the best. It's the softest, and that saltiness really comes through. Plenty of other chefs do other stuff with them that is really remarkable, but mainly with this video I want to talk about propagating them. Moving on, the soil that these guys are growing in, you can see the big pine trees. They would be This one is sort of growing, leaning over on the ground, and I'm just going to lift it up and see if there are any roots on any of the branches that are touching the ground. They're leaning down quite a bit. Yeah, you know what? They are. I don't know if you can see that in between the grass. There are some roots there that you could chop this branch off and propagate it if you really wanted to. I'm just going to use an old pot that I'm going to cut down a bit. For seedlings, I don't need a huge pot. It's just, for me, it's just a waste of soil. Once they start sprouting, I'll move them on, I'll separate them out, and then they'll be put in their own pots that have a little bit more space for their roots to grow. But for now, cutting one of these down is, you know, it's what I do just to use less soil. Ultimately, I suppose it's easier to handle. It's less heavy. And for saltbush, they're really not fussy. Even the seeds are not fussy. I suppose make sure the soil's not. We don't want too much clay. We don't want the water to sit and pool in there too much. But you know, I'm just using the soil that I've got out of my vegetable garden, and it's fine. But there we go, flatten it down. You don't have to be fussy. These seeds are not fussy. So I'll show you now how we can get cuttings off saltbush. I'm just going to try and do this one-handed, but just grabbing the top few inches off the plant and trimming them off. They're the bits that we want. We don't want the harder wood, like down here. This is like maybe 1/2 centimetre thick. We don't really want that. That's really hard. We want, but we don't want really the softwood either. So I'm being a bit indecisive here. You can have a go at each and see how you go. I've found they're really quite hardy and will grow just about from anything. So just grab a few different pieces and see how you go. I've got my pot here, and what I'll do is just take the bottom few leaves off. Just run your fingers along them to rip them off. That's a very long cutting, but I'm going to shove it in there anyway, and it'll probably grow. There we go. That's probably a bit too much as well. Sometimes you can trim the top of it off and get another cutting from that. Just pin them in. And I've grown saltbush in this way before. They've grown really happily. It's the start of winter as well, so you might be thinking, you know, that's not the right time of year to be propagating anything, but I'll bring these inside and sit them in front of a windowsill and they'll grow roots. They're really hardy. I don't know if it's just my area or if they're like that all the time, but they'll be fine. I've had a lot of success growing these guys from cuttings and from seed in the method that I'm showing you. So there we go. There's a bunch of them in there, and I'll put them in front of my windowsill, give them a bit of a water in, keep an eye on them that they're not getting too damp, and within, I reckon, about 6 to 8 weeks they'll start growing roots. And when the roots start coming out of the bottom, that's when we can separate them out, get them out of this pot, separate them out and give them their own separate pots. So I've mixed in a little bit of seed raising mix into this with my regular garden bed soil. I just want to make sure while it is winter time that it doesn't get too boggy. So I feel like the seed raising mix is a little bit, it's got a bit of sand mixed in there and whatever. It's a bit lighter and it won't rot the seeds while it's winter. I'm going to try these seeds. I have grown from these and they've been successful, and because I got so many, I'm just going to chuck them all in there, and hopefully they don't all germinate because they're really packed in there, but that'll be fine. I'm not soaking these at all. They don't need it. And I'm just going to sprinkle in a layer of the dirt. It doesn't need to be tightly packed in. Even if there are some that are on top of the soil, it's fine. They'll grow, or they won't. I've got so many in there that it's, I only need about 50% success rate, really. That needs to be watered in now, and they'll start growing. So there we have it. We've got the freshly sown seeds in this pot. I'm yet to water them in, but I'll do that after the video. We've got our cuttings. We've talked about the layering technique that they seem to, I haven't done it before, but I think I'm going to give it a go. That could really be a good quick way to get them established. And this is them grown from seed in the middle of winter. They're happy as Larry. I've got them under shelter outside on my decking, and they're really happy. In another couple of months or so, this pot will be completely filled up and I'll have to break it up and give them their own separate pots. And at that point, if we move over here, that's what these guys are doing. These are a few months down the track and they've been put in their separate pots, and this is them. I don't know, I must have about 10 here. This is the last bunch that I grew, and you know what, there's one or two that failed. Did have roots. Maybe I should have left that, but it did have roots, so I'm not sure what went on there. That's okay. The rest is still pretty happy. And that'll be my next hedge that I plant either along my driveway or out in the paddock. I'll be fencing them off out in the paddock because the sheep are addicted to these. If I plant these, the sheep will just decimate them, and when they're so young, they won't survive it. The kangaroos seem to not be aware that they can eat these. They're too dopey. They'd rather eat the grass. But as soon as one works it out, they'll be into it. I've seen videos of people complaining about possums eating them as well, and I haven't had any issues with possums either, to be quite honest. I will say these are looking really tall. They're just growing in one direction at the moment, so right about now is the time when you can pinch the top of them off and they'll grow more bushy. I think that'll be a big benefit to them if you want to grow them in more of a hedge kind of habit. Yeah, they'll grow a bit more bushy.